A lot of people are not using the wrong investing app. They are using the wrong investing strategy for their income, and that mistake quietly slows progress for years. A person earning $28,000 a year and a person earning $120,000 a year should not build wealth in the same order, even if both are disciplined. One income level needs insulation first, another needs tax shelter first, another needs lifestyle control more than another new stock pick. That is where most financial advice breaks apart. So in this video, I am going to walk through the best investing approach for 3 different income ranges, explain what each stage is trying to accomplish, and show what prepares you for the next level. We will start with the lower income stage, move to the middle income builder stage, then finish with the higher income optimization stage, where small mistakes can cost far more than people realize. And I want to keep this practical. No vague motivational fluff, no fantasy budgets. Just a clear map built around how money actually behaves when income is tight, rising, or finally strong. Because the real goal is not to copy rich people advice too early. The real goal is to build the right financial machine for the income you have today. My name is Dave, and if this kind of practical money information helps you think more clearly, hit like, subscribe, and share this with friends and family groups, because useful financial information deserves to travel. Let us start with the first stage, roughly $25,000 to $35,000 a year. At this level, your first investment is not excitement, it is stability. If your take-home pay is modest, one car repair, one dental bill, or one missed work week can force a bad financial choice at the exact wrong moment. That is why this stage is about building a cash buffer before building an aggressive portfolio. Without a buffer, every surprise becomes a debt decision. The Federal Reserve reported that in 2024, only 63% of adults said they could cover a $400 emergency expense with cash or its equivalent. The same Federal Reserve report found that only 55% of adults had rainy day savings equal to at least 3 months of expenses. That tells you the first stage is still where millions get stuck. So if you are earning around $2,300 a month before taxes, the early mission is simple. Create breathing room, reduce fragility, and stop emergencies from hijacking the rest of your plan. That usually means building an emergency fund of at least 1 month first, then pushing toward 3 months, and eventually toward 6 if your income is unstable or your household has one earner. Notice the order there. 1 month first, then 3, then 6. A small shield now is better than a perfect shield, later that never gets built. Where should that money sit? A regular checking account is too easy to raid. A stock fund is too volatile for short-term emergencies. You want liquidity, visibility, and some yield. A high-yield savings account works. A money market fund can also work, especially inside a major brokerage if you understand that the goal is safety, not stock market upside. For example, Fidelity's government money market fund, SPAX-X, recently showed a 7-day yield a little above 3%, while Vanguard's total stock market ETF carries market risk and is built for long horizons instead. That difference matters. One tool is for parking emergency cash. The other is for owning thousands of businesses over many years and accepting volatility along the way. So if you save, say, $200 per month, you are not behind. You are building a survival engine. In 12 months, that is $2,400 before any yield. If you save $300 per month, you reach $3,600 in 1 year. That will not make you rich, but it can stop a bad month from becoming a bad decade. I want to make this very plain. At this income level, the smartest investment return often comes from avoiding high-interest debt, bounced payments, overdraft fees, and panic selling. So your starter allocation may be boring by design. Emergency fund first, then employer match if you have one, then skill building, then beginner investing after your base becomes less fragile. If your employer offers a retirement match, grab the full match if possible, because that is an immediate return you cannot usually get anywhere else without taking serious risk. But many people at this stage do not have much room. That is why I do not like guilt-based advice. You cannot automate money that does not exist. You must first widen the margin. And widening the margin usually comes from increasing earning power. not from arguing over whether one ETF will beat another by half a percentage point. Think of your career like a stack, not a ladder. A ladder has one direction. A stack lets skills combine. That combination can raise pay faster than waiting politely for annual raises. Maybe you work in customer support earning $30,000. Add CRM fluency, basic data reporting, and email automation. And suddenly, you are not just support anymore. Now you solve a larger business problem. And larger business problems usually pay more. That is why the first stage is partly about money and partly about becoming more valuable. Do not collect random skills just because they sound interesting. Collect adjacent skills that strengthen your current lane and make your work harder to replace. If you are in healthcare admin, maybe it is scheduling systems, billing literacy, and workflow software. If you are in retail, maybe it is inventory systems, sales metrics, and team leadership. That is how income starts moving from the high 20s to the mid-40s, then toward the 50s and 60s. And the income jump changes what investing should look like next. Now let us move to the second stage, roughly $50,000 to $80,000 a year. This is where wealth building usually becomes intentional rather than accidental. At this stage, you still need your emergency fund, but now your next job is to direct surplus cash into long-term accounts with real tax advantages. For many people in the United States, the Roth IRA becomes one of the cleanest tools in this stage. You contribute with after-tax dollars, and qualified withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. The IRS says the 2026 IRA contribution limit is $7,500, or $8,600 if you are age 50 or older. That means if you are under 50 and want to fully fund it, you are looking at roughly $625 per month across the year. Now pause there, because this is where people make a subtle mistake. They open the Roth IRA, feel productive, and then leave the cash uninvested inside the account. Opening the account is step 1. Choosing the investments is step 2. Automating the contributions is step 3. Missing that second step leaves your money sitting still. Inside a Roth IRA, many people keep it simple with broad stock market ETFs or index funds. The point is not complexity. The point is diversified ownership. A total market fund tries to own a giant slice of the market. An S&P 500 fund focuses on large U.S. companies. An international fund adds exposure outside the United States. For example, Vanguard lists VTI, its total U.S. stock market ETF, with a very low expense ratio of 0.03%, while VIXUS gives broad international stock exposure. Simple does not mean weak. It means easier to maintain during real life. When markets are ugly, motivation is low, and bills are still arriving on schedule. Here is a basic example. Imagine Maya earns $62,000 a year and has already built a 3-month emergency fund of $9,000. She contributes $625 per month into a Roth IRA and invests it in a broad stock ETF mix. Over 1 year, that reaches the annual $7,500 limit. If she later earns an average annual return near 10% over a long horizon, that contribution habit can compound dramatically, although returns are never guaranteed and markets will swing. That last part matters. Never hear 10% and assume a smooth line. Markets do not move like salaries. They move in bursts, drops, recoveries, and uncomfortable waiting periods. This is why the middle income stage is really about behavior. You are building a repeatable system that survives boredom, headlines, and the temptation to constantly tinker. If you also have a workplace retirement plan, this stage may include both. Maybe you capture the employer match in a 401k, then build the Roth IRA next. The IRS says the 2026 elective deferral limit for a 401k is $24,500, which gives higher earners in this stage another powerful shelter. But even here, I want to keep priorities clear. You do not need 10 funds, 3 apps, and 20 opinionated finance accounts on your phone. You need a plan you can explain in one breath: emergency fund protected, retirement contributions automated, investments chosen, and lifestyle still under control. And yes, income still matters here. The middle income stage is where many people finally feel comfortable enough to loosen discipline, right when discipline starts paying off most. They upgrade the apartment, upgrade the car, upgrade the vacations, and then wonder why the portfolio still looks tiny despite a better salary. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says average household spending in 2024 was about $78,535, or about $6,545 per month. That average is exactly why averages can mislead you. If you earn well below that and try to live like the average household, investing will always feel impossible. So in the middle income stage, I like one rule. Let your investing rate rise faster than your lifestyle. That one habit creates a completely different decade. If your pay goes up by $800 per month, maybe $300 goes to quality of life upgrades, but $500 goes to retirement and brokerage automation. That is how you turn an income raise into a net worth raise instead of a monthly expense raise. Quietly, consistently, and without needing a dramatic financial reinvention every January. Now we move to the third stage, roughly $100,000 and above. This is where the game often becomes less about access and more about optimization. At this level, the greatest danger is not usually lack of knowledge, it is leakage. Lifestyle inflation, tax drag, idle cash, and sloppy account structure can absorb enormous amounts of progress. You may already have the emergency fund. You may already be contributing to retirement accounts. Good. Now the question becomes, where does the extra money go next, and why? This is where a taxable brokerage account often enters the picture. It gives you flexibility outside retirement accounts, though dividends, interest, and realized gains can create taxable events. That flexibility matters because not every goal belongs inside retirement wrappers. Maybe you want optionality before retirement age. Maybe you want to build a bridge account. A taxable brokerage can hold the same kinds of broad ETFs, but its job is different. It is not just about tax shelter. It is about access, scale, and long-term capital deployment. Here is a simple framework. First, maintain the emergency base. Second, capture any employer match. Third, fund tax-advantaged accounts. Fourth, direct remaining long-term capital into taxable investing. That order is not the only possible order, but it is a strong default because it protects liquidity, captures free money, and uses tax shelters before moving into the fully taxable bucket. Let me give you an example. Jason and Elena earn $130,000 combined and save $2,200 per month after covering normal life. They already have $18,000 in emergency savings. They contribute enough to get the workplace match, fully fund 2 Roth IRAs if eligible, and send the remaining surplus into a taxable brokerage. Inside that brokerage, they choose a simple mix: a broad US stock ETF, an international ETF, and a cash reserve sleeve for shorter-term goals. Nothing exotic, no heroic stock picking, no constant rotation. Because once income is strong, complexity can become an expensive form of entertainment. This is also the stage where a small difference in spending discipline creates a shockingly large difference in future flexibility. The math gets louder when the dollars get larger. Suppose one household earning $120,000 invests $1,800 per month. Another earns the same amount but invests only $600 because lifestyle expanded too fast. That $1,200 monthly gap is $14,400 per year. Over 10 years, before any growth, the difference is already $144,000. Add compounding, and the spread becomes much larger. This is why high income without spending discipline can look rich, while building far less real freedom than people assume. I am not anti-enjoyment. I am anti-drift. Drift is when spending rises automatically, but investing rises only when you feel unusually motivated. And motivation is unreliable. Systems win. That means preset transfers, preset account roles, and a clear definition for what cash is for and what invested money is for. If you are in this higher income stage and self-employed, tax planning becomes even more important, but the same core principle still holds. Every dollar needs a job. $1 protects liquidity, $1 buys future cash flow, $1 reduces taxes, $1 funds a shorter-term goal. When you name the jobs, money becomes easier to direct. This is also where many people start asking about individual stocks, dividend funds, or sector funds. Those can have a place, but only after the foundation is already solid. For the Dave's Dividend Lab audience, I will say this carefully. Dividend investing can be useful, but income style should match account purpose, not just emotional preference. A broad dividend ETF may produce cash flow, but a total market fund may provide broader exposure. A money market fund may preserve capital, but it is not meant to outrun stocks long term. So do not ask one product to do every job. The emergency fund is not supposed to behave like an aggressive portfolio. Your retirement core is not supposed to act like checking. That is the hidden theme of this whole video. The best investing strategy by income level is really about matching the right tool to the right stage. At lower income, the best strategy is resilience first, skill stacking second, investing third. At middle income, it becomes tax-advantaged automation and disciplined long-term ownership. At higher income, it becomes optimization, account sequencing, tax awareness, and guarding against the silent creep of an expensive lifestyle that eats raises before they can compound. And across all three stages, one rule stays true. Your system should get stronger as your income gets stronger. The plan should evolve because your financial environment evolves. Someone earning $30,000 should not feel embarrassed for focusing on stability. Someone earning $65,000 should not ignore the Roth IRA. Someone earning $150,000 should not act cash poor. Different stages require different priorities. That is not inconsistency. That is maturity. It is what happens when financial advice starts respecting real life instead of performing for social media. If you are in the first stage, your next move may be building 1 month of reserves and identifying the next skill that can raise your pay. If you are in the second stage, your next move may be fully automating a Roth IRA and deciding on a simple diversified fund lineup that you can actually stick with. If you are in the third stage, your next move may be finding the leaks, tightening the structure, and making sure more of your growing income reaches assets instead of appearances. And that is where the biggest twist sits. The best investing strategy is not the flashiest one. It is the one that fits your current income without weakening your next move, because the wrong strategy at the wrong stage can make you feel sophisticated while quietly making you more fragile, less liquid, and slower to build actual freedom. The right strategy does the opposite. It reduces pressure, increases capacity, and builds momentum. Then 1 year later, your money story looks calmer. 5 years later, it looks stronger. 10 years later, people may think your progress came from one brilliant pick. In reality, it came from matching the plan to the stage and repeating simple actions for a very long time. So ask yourself one honest question today. What income stage am I actually in? And what strategy does that stage truly require from me right now? Answer that honestly, and your next decision gets much easier. Ignore it, and even good investing advice can land in the wrong place and produce the wrong outcome. If this helped you, share it with someone who is trying to invest but keeps feeling like generic money advice does not quite fit their life, because that mismatch is more common than people think. And if you want, the next smart step is to build your own one-page money map. Emergency target, account order, monthly contribution number, and the next income skill to develop. Build the right machine for the income you have. Then let time, discipline, and better decisions do what they have always done for patient people. Quietly change everything.